What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie. This is part 10 of my ranking and reviewing Phish's live Phish series, volume 10. I will discuss this show, and then I will show you how it ranks among the other 9 that I've already reviewed. And growing up, I hated having my birthday in the summer because I never once had a birthday at school. Went to school in California. My birthday's on June 22nd, the day of this show that we're talking about. The latest we ever went to school was the 20th. We get out late in California. Never, ever had my birthday in school. But as an adult, I'm always free to travel on my birthday, and I've seen a lot of fantastic shows. 2 of them were Phish shows. This one, Volume 10, June 22nd, 1994, and the following year, the Finger Lakes show, which had the Finger Lakes show. I don't think they've released that one yet, but I think maybe they did on like one of the download series, right? Maybe on one of the online series. But that Finger Lakes show, they played a Theme from the Bottom and a tweezer. It was like 50-minute tweezer. In the middle of the tweezer, this is my 25th birthday. I am enjoying myself to my fullest. And they start playing My Generation in the middle of that. I hope I die before I get old. Let's just say it definitely inspired an existential crisis for a very brief time. But anyways, this show. Super excited for this show. It was in Columbus, Ohio. I did this entire tour. For some reason, we rolled into Columbus like 10 in the morning, hung out. We actually had a chance to like go in the theater early in the day. We were hanging around, and I guess the Will Call was in the theater or something, but we got a chance to go in and actually see it before the show, which was super cool. And so we got I don't know, we ended up getting seats like somewhere in the back, but on the aisle. We were able to dance in the aisle. It's just absolutely perfect show. But had a great day in Columbus and was super excited for this show. And then the first set kind of left me sort of just like, I was just like, that was a good first set. Like, I'm not complaining, right? But I just saw way too many Phish shows in the past, like, 3 weeks, right? Being on tour. Plus, I'd seen a bunch of shows in May. Plus, saw a bunch of shows in April. And this set in the first set was just kind of like, that's not what I was hoping for. And I have to admit, I was kind of disappointed during the intermission. And this is what they played in the first set. And looking at it now, you're like, there's some really good stuff on here. But other than really one song, this was like standard 94 stuff, right? Which is one of the reasons why you don't follow a band, because you get burnt out. You have to really learn not to complain about things. But at the time, I have to admit, I was bummed out. We got a llama, fantastic llama, no complaints. Trey's playing great, noisy llama. Trey's really taking his guitar to crazy places. Energy is fantastic. Gula Papyrus, it's a gula. We got a rift, nice rift. Then we got a gumbo, which was like kind of the one real good treat in the set. They weren't jamming out gumbo back then. They kind of faded out the jam, so you didn't really get much of a jam. But still, the overall song, the vibe is fantastic. Fantastic Maze. Maze is always good. And If I Could, which is one of my now more favoriter. One of my favorite. One of my Trey ballads I like more than others. Back then, I was kind of over it. A Scent of a Mule, which I don't mind the actual song Scent of a Mule, especially as it appears on like the CD. But live, they did this thing where they slowed it down and then they stopped playing. And like, I think Trey and Mike used to like point their instruments at each other and play like this faster thing. And it had this whole theatrical element that they played Scent of a Mule like every other night. I had already seen it like 8 times by this point, it seems. Maybe more, considering when they started playing it. So it was just not entertaining. One of the drawbacks to like seeing a band too many times is Phish had a lot of those sort of theatrical things, like foreplay long time. I got over that really quickly. But anyways, that's my problem. A really good stash, just your typical straightforward, let's do to stash what we're supposed to do to stash. Fantastic. I will take that all the time, with a quiet ending. One of those kind of endings where you're not sure what's happening, and all of a sudden they're like, dun, dun, dun. Oh, it's over. And then a Golgi Apparatus. Really good stuff, and I feel like a jerk complaining about it, but at the time I was like, that's nothing special. Second set opens up with a 2001. Love 2001. Okay, already I'm happier. Ridiculous. Great song. And they weren't jamming it out by then. It was a pretty, 5 minute 2001, but still, jammy enough to like really set a tone and get ready for a second set. Then they drop a Mike song, right? Mike song, can never go wrong with a Mike song. The first jam in Mike's song, there's kind of nothing there. Like Mike's trying to push it. Trey's not really doing anything. It's just kind of taking up space. They go in through that first little musical interlude before they go into the second jam. And then right when they drop into the second jam, Trey starts playing Simple, the riff to Simple. And Simple had only been played 2 times before, and it had yet to be like a full actual song. Like standalone Simple was a thing we weren't really familiar with. So he starts playing the Simple riff. And I think they jam on that riff for like 2 or 3 minutes, don't sing any of the lyrics, and that eases like perfectly into a catapult. And all of a sudden we get this nice little catapult. Then catapult goes back into Simple after that. And this time, not only does he start singing the lyrics at this point, but I think this is when he starts quoting Midnight Rider by the Allman Brothers, because that quote gets thrown in there a couple times at some point in this crazy sort of what used to be Mike's song, but now is this song Simple that's only been played 2 other times. And then you get an Iculus, a full-blown Iculus with reference to the NBA championship, which was going on, Houston versus the Knicks. This Texas boy had something at stake that night. Wanted Houston, of course. San Antonio would then beat the Knicks later. So sorry, all you Knicks fans. So you get a full-on Iculus. That goes back into Simple after the Iculus, and then the Simple goes back into Mike's song. And then we finish out Mike's song with the dun 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 dun. Just an absolutely like nowhere near sort of Tweezer Fest levels, but just this seamless blend of like, oh, it's Simple, now it's Iculus, now it's Simple, there's a little Midnight Rider there, now it's like Cat. I mean, just like the band at the peak of their powers. Like this was like ecstatic. Like this was like the best show I'd ever seen. Not really, but I was like, oh, this could be Tweezer Fest Part 2. Then they go into a Hydrogen, nice relaxed Hydrogen. They're taking their time. They go into a Weekapog groove, but the Weekapog, like at this point, honestly, I was hoping that we'd get like this just 15-minute like Trey going crazy jam. Like I was ready for that, but instead they kind of go the opposite, and they realize that I think the vibe was, I remember the audience and the theater being incredibly respectful and incredibly quiet, almost at every show on that tour. Like there were so many indoor shows, and Phish would do stuff off mic, which we have a problem with that later in this show, with no mics whatsoever, like not acoustic, just off mic completely. And everybody was dead quiet. So I really think that a lot of what they did was like, we have an audience that will listen to anything, so let's take chances. So the Weekapah, instead of taking off, they immediately bring it back down, bring it all the way back down to really nice, delicate, beautiful, simple, the man who stepped into yesterday levels. And they drop on the man who stepped into yesterday. That goes into Avinu Makenu. That goes back into the man who stepped into yesterday. And then what felt just perfectly epic at the time and exactly what the show kind of needed, they dropped a fluff head. And it was just a beautiful fluff head, and they jam out at the end, and it was just like, I felt like that was maybe, over an hour at that point, it seemed like. I honestly don't know. Maybe not even an hour. But it felt like that could have been enough, and I would have been happy. But after they do the fluff head, they come out and they do an acoustic, like not acoustic, like an a cappella, nothing acoustic, but also a cappella. My Sweet One, which, I mean, I was in like the floor in the back, and I had a hard time hearing it. I mean, even though the acoustics are pretty good, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't know why they release it. You can barely hear it. It takes up 4 minutes on the disc. So that's all set 2. That's all on disc 2 so far. Disc 3, after they do the My Sweet One, they do the big ball jam, which is they threw balls. I think 3 balls, maybe it was 4 balls. I don't think Fishman had a ball. I think they just threw 3 balls, and Page played according to how 1 ball bounced. Trey had 1, Mike had 1. I don't think Fishman had 1. I think he just kept this like wipeout style surf beat going the entire time. But it was neat because every big ball jam was different. And some audiences knew to grab the ball and shake it, because if you grab the ball and shook it, whoever was like responsible for that ball would like do really crazy stuff for the instrument. So yeah, so it was interesting. It was even interesting to listen to on tape. It just sounds chaotic. And then what really for me, the entire night, the thing that sort of put the birthday cherry on top of the birthday cake, they drop a Jesus Just Left Chicago. And when Trey first starts that, plays those opening chords, it's just like, oh, this is exactly what the show needed. And then Paige comes in with this, Jesus, just starts singing it. And you're just like, yeah, man, the solo is fantastic. They nail it. They hit it out of the ballpark. It's just like an unexpected, like what a perfect song. And then we get a sample in the jar to close. And then for the encore, they do a Carolina off mic, can't hear it, and then a cavern that's pretty fun and pretty loose. And like the cavern is really like they're messing with the cavern, and again they're just strutting their stuff for every second of it. And then we get a couple bonus tracks from the show 2 nights later in Indianapolis, a demand into a fantastic Run Like an Antelope. But anyways, absolutely fantastic show. The second set just kind of ultimately redeemed the whole show. Like, I think looking at it now and ranking it, I'm like, okay, I can't rank it as my favorite, even though as a birthday show, I might like, it made my birthday wonderful. But if I had to rank it, I would put it right. I have to put it in number 3, which I also think is probably realistically too high. It probably is an overall show, because I do think the first set is just kind of average. Average Phish, which is still good, but for Phish, average. I mean, it's probably 6 or 5 or 6. It's probably halfway. It's probably in the middle. But I think that, I don't know, that second set is so fantastic. And I think the second set is, I think that Jesus Just Left Chicago is just such a rare little treat. The simple effortlessness and the way they flow into each other is special. So maybe 3 is right, but I don't know. I don't ever listen. Here's what I'm going to say. I don't ever listen to set 1, but I listen to set 2 all the time. So should it be penalized for being only half a great show? No, it's at number 3, but I do think those 2000 shows are just consistently better. But anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this show. Go listen to it if you haven't heard it. The second set in particular. Even if you don't know these songs, they are different enough. Like that whole Mike's Simple Iculus thing. You know when they're going in other songs, you just feel how it changes, but it's just so effortless and smooth that it almost seems pre-planned. Yeah, go listen to it and enjoy it, because it's fantastic. But that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and go listen to Phish. Go listen to 62294 set 2. It's amazing. Peace. Talk to you later.